Yes. So this is the part where these peas and carrots,
Recipes.
witty banter, while the music's playing.
And then it fades up, and then what? And then so
Hello.
hello, and welcome to Moving Towards Better. All right, which
Welcome to Moving Towards Better.
Yeah, Towards Better, and it's towards with an S. We decided.
Yes.
So all right, there you go. And our whole subject today, and subject for the podcast, is about learning and about how learning works in your life and how it just makes your life better. And so I think about all the things that we study, we learn one way or another, all right, by experience, right, or by actually cracking open a book or cracking open something like that. And it just reminds me, and I don't know who said this, but it always reminds me of wherever you are in life, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. All right. See, so
That's
learning's
good.
all about changing what because life is nothing but change. Changing life for you to be happy, right? I mean, that was not very eloquently put, but
no, but I've told people that, like, if you're not doing something about it, then you must like it.
Yeah,
exactly. If you want to put it another way,
So there's this. If you want to learn how to make your life happier, if you want to learn how to make your day-to-day living
interesting
or interestinger, I like that. That's good.
Yeah,
let's do that. Interestinger. If you want to learn better vocational skills for you, this is all about that. All of those things.
Yeah.
And so I am Chris Pennick, and sometimes I'm known as DJ Crispy, and you'll find those out over time. How's that? There you go. And this is
hi, I'm Chris Minnick, and also known sometimes as C Money. But I want to know. I think our audience wants to know a little bit more about us. That would help because we bring some interesting perspectives to the whole idea of learning and a lot of experience, and also mystery. And so, like,
mystery,
Chris, you're going to start out, with the introductions, but like something interesting that I know about you is that you're very coy about you had some sort of secret government job that you allude to sometimes. And so I'm always imagining like what that might be, but I know you can't talk about it, but tell us about yourself.
Okay. All right. There you go. Right. I will not quote like some of the people I've worked with, if I told you what I did, I'd have to kill you. No, I'm not going to tell you any of that. Because that's not true, actually. But who I am is Chris Pennick, and I have worked in private organizations in the government. I've worked for a pen test company. I've done, if you've ever watched bad 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s movies about hackers, the hacker person in there was probably me. That, did not anymore. My skills, not following my own advice, my skills are rusty, but that's because I wasn't interesting to me anymore. I've moved on to other things. So what I do now is I do a lot of teaching. I do a lot of creating things for people to use to learn, whether that's video or written material, or sometimes actually up in front of a classroom and working with that. Do a lot of that for the private sector right now. And I'm hoping out of this podcast, we inspire and provide resources for you to learn the things you want to learn, whatever it is. When we'll talk about how it fits with your brain, and we'll talk about, just what techniques work and what doesn't. We'll get to more of that actually later today. But so as far as I'm concerned, I just want to get out there. I think learning is living. That's how it is for me. And so I just want to get that message out, and hopefully we get other people doing the same thing. Try something.
Totally. And I back to sort of my original angle here with trying to drag something out of you. I know something you can talk about is you actually worked for a former president. You right?
Yeah, I did some Windows security training for the executive office of the president way back in the Clinton administration. So don't blame me. I have nothing to do with any emails or anything like that.
You weren't in the like little room off the side there.
No. Setting up an email server. No. And no. But I assisted their staff on learning how to make sure things were secure. So cool. Whatever they did after that, it was up to them. I was not the one responsible. I was the one responsible for showing them what they should do and shouldn't. How's that? There you go.
Okay, so I have one more super interesting follow-up question for you. Also, quite a little personal story that rolls into possibly a question. My question, first of all, my statement is, I shook Bill Clinton's hand once, and it was the best handshake that I've ever had in my life. It was just soft and like firm, and he like looked right in my eyes, and like you could tell he really cared. And so I wanted to know if you've had that experience, if you ever shook his hand.
I have not. I haven't even been probably within the same building as him, because the executive offices are actually out away from the White House. They're in a separate building in DC. So no, unfortunately, though I have in my career, I have gotten a general's coin or two. That's when you do something that a general in the military really likes.
That's
and they
cool.
hand you they have their own minted coins that they hand you that says, "Hey, that was a great job. That was good stuff." And so they're sort of a career military collector thing. So
our mayor does that.
Oh, he hands out coins.
Yeah,
I don't.
He gave Jill one.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a neat idea. I like it. It's like so, and you get to, and I actually I don't know. Oh, does your mayor have his own face on the coin? Or is it something else?
I know. I don't think he has his face on the coin.
Okay, because I wanted to see how egotistical this was too.
No. I think
there's a combination there.
I think he might have been in the Coast Guard. Maybe this is where he got the idea. Like now he's sort of the general of the city or something. I don't know.
Got it. Okay. All right. So we've been digging into things about me. We're gonna switch now, folks. We're gonna dig into some things here. I do know something interesting about Mr. Minnick, aka C Money. And you can kind of see in the background there, maybe if it's not cut off, it's probably going to be cut off on there. But there's a saxophone back there. And so you are looking at a ska hero here, right? Right?
Hero. That's a little bit of an exaggeration. A little bit of an exaggeration. But
all right.
Yeah, I was in high school and college. I was in the ska band Gangster Fun.
The name.
Yeah. Prior to that, they're known as the Godfathers of Midwest ska.
The Godfathers of Midwest ska.
There are more famous bands like Jack Kevorkian and Mustard Plug, who were inspired by Gangster Fun, but that's neither here nor there. That was, I got yes.
Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's true. And so,
okay, all right.
Toured with them for a lot of years.
Well, that's you actually did you record an album?
Yes.
Well, see, there you go. So you got a lot of folks beat already right there. Okay, so folks, that's your mission. Find the album. You push those Spotify numbers up.
Right. They'll know who Gangster Fun is. Everybody does.
Everybody knows.
But
so all right. Well, tell us about you then. Now, so
like Chris Pennick, DJ Crispy, I got interested in computers when I was, like 12 or so,
just a wee lad.
Got into hacking at that time as well, and it was the whole premise of hacking then was learning, exploring, reaching out to the rest of the world to find things out. And sometimes you're finding out things that you weren't supposed to find out. And that was the adventure part of
it. Yes.
And then I went to school for creative writing, literature, and then got out and got into software somehow because it's
That's
just what happened. And it's terminally boring to me. And so I started, I've always been interested in a lot of different things, and I started learning a lot of stuff and got into like, just start taking classes all the time and learning, like 1 week, drawing and copy editing and bowling and archery and sailing and winemaking and beer making.
Wait. So archery. So some of these are news to me, folks. So the archery one, that's news to me. Okay. Yep. All right. That's going to come up again.
Yeah.
Kung Fu.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I need you to make a list later and send that to me. So, I know. All right. Because this is going to have to come up again in other shows. Definitely. Yep. All right. There you go.
And so this is, I mean, but in recent years, so now I'm like in my mid 50s, and, a few years ago, I read a really inspiring book by Derek Sivers. He was the founder of CD Baby. He's now living on a remote island somewhere, and writing these tiny little books. And I wrote to him, and I was like, Derek, I really love what you're doing. And he wrote back immediately. Oh, and we talked a little bit. We exchanged some emails, and we talked about I told him who I am and stuff. And he told me this idea of his that his philosophy is that he doesn't believe in putting anything in his bio that isn't something that he is doing right now, like today. And so he won't tell you he's the, founder of CD Baby, like at his bio. He'll say, I'm a writer and, a philosopher. And I kind of like that, but it's kind of like I've gotten to that age where I'm not doing as many new, interesting things as I used to. And so for me, what I want to get out of this podcast is, how do you, as someone who maybe likes to think of yourself as an interesting person, start to do interesting things again, like when the world is like trying to beat you into the ground on a daily basis? And so this is my goal with this podcast.
Okay. All right. See, yes. So, all right. So if you were to answer his question, then if you were to put something on your bio, what would you say on your bio now?
Right now, I would say that I am a AI instructor, professional AI instructor, and author of For Dummies books.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, you could have, you blew the chance right there, man. We could have said podcaster.
Oh yeah, and podcaster. See, I can add that now. Yes.
Yeah, you can add podcaster. There you go. Because that's what we're doing. We're learning how to do this. All right. Yes. So help us out. And one thing you can do, we'll make sure that, we'll watch for comments, and we'll have set up ways for you to get back in touch with us. All right. So what might listeners expect from this then?
Yeah. Listeners can probably expect that I will be consuming wine.
I like that. There you go.
This is one of the many things that I do. But I think what I'd like to see is that listeners can come here and hear interviews with really interesting people who are lifelong learners, who are enthusiastic about learning, and they can come and get new ideas and learn about learning. And I think that's something that I really like about you, Mr. Pennock, is that you study how to learn a lot. And I've seen your bookmarks list, and it is really interesting to look at. The man bookmarks all kinds of things that I didn't even know existed, and is like constantly learning things. And so this is really cool. And I love to hear your thoughts on learning.
Thoughts on learning. I like
what
that.
you've learned.
Well, okay. So one of the things then that I want to talk about this time around is something very common that, like if you ask teachers, if you ask students, you ask anybody, oh, I wasn't very good at school because I'm not XYZ kind of learner. You've heard that before, right? There's always somebody, or I can't learn that because, I have to learn by this or I have to learn by that. Okay. There's a whole lot of myth and some accuracy to this. And then that's the idea of learning styles. I hear people say this, well, I'm a visual learner, so you need to draw me, a sketch. I'm like, well, if you're trying to learn how to play violin, and you could use, I can't draw you a diagram of playing the violin. You need to maybe hear. And so that kind of knocks out the idea that you're a visual learner. So what I do think is true, though, is that it feels true often. A lot of times it feels true that, oh, I'm this style or that, but that's preference. So preferences are very real. If you like, I like when people draw me a map of things, especially big new ideas. One of my favorite things is to find like mind maps of, I don't know, I'm studying psychology or something, and people draw out all the big ideas and spread it across there. That's great. Yeah. And that's visual. Right. But that probably isn't going to help it stick. So the myth is what we call the meshing hypothesis. Have you ever heard of this? You ever heard mesh? No?
No.
Okay. So my sister actually has a doctorate in education. So we talk about this every now and then. And that is that the claim that matching a person's style to the learning produces better learning, that matching the instruction to the style. There we go. So matching the instruction to a person's style. So if someone says, I'm a visual learner, so you should start drawing things on the board, that's the meshing for them to learn how to play the violin.
Hey.
That's not going to work. That's right. That's the myth. So there's no reliable evidence on any of that, at least none of them. But so the most common model that people use to teach, and when you go to this, is they talk about visual. So VARK is a nice acronym. So visual, auditory, reading, writing. They make reading, writing one. I guess you could make it VARWK. So VARWK, because it's reading, writing is one, and then kinesthetic, right? So if you're learning, I don't know, you're learning how to jump rope, double Dutch. My daughter, my oldest daughter, man, the kids at her playground used to do that all the time. And I'm like, oh, don't let me even try. Right. So what? That's obviously kinesthetic. You have to try it. You have to jump in and just go through the motions. Right. So when you get into it, there's I was looking at one review once that had like 71 different learning styles. So the thing is that that's a red flag right there. That's when, so the question isn't, do you have a preference? It's, will teaching to that preference help you learn better? And that's what I want to address with this, is that,
interesting.
So when we look across things, right, when we go through this whole, when we do our umpteen bajillion shows, right, we get to have that cake like you do after 100 episodes or something, right?
Yeah.
So
when you get that silver thing on the wall behind you.
Yeah, there you go. When you get or we get one of the YouTube, we
That's
get one of those,
talking
right?
About. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that why it matters to me is because it's I see so many people waste time, money, and effort, but I also see so many people with no confidence with the idea. I don't believe that anybody is incapable of learning things. I mean, okay, we could talk about mental health or mental capacity, sure, but that doesn't mean you can't learn, right? So go ahead.
The confidence thing, I think it comes from the more things you learn, the more ability you have to learn things. And so I've got this kind of idea kicking around in my head for this podcast, and maybe this is something we can do, that maybe what we do, you and I, Mr. Penixer, is maybe one time a month we come on the show, and the whole episode is each of us proposes some crazy thing for the other person to learn, and then that we call it the what's the name of the show again? The Moving Towards Better
What's the name of the show?
Podcast Challenge. And we come on here and we give each other a task, and that's it. We close it down. We don't talk very much at all in that episode, but then a month later, we come back and I suddenly can like hula hoop or like hula dance.
Hula dance. Oh, there you go.
Or,
well, that has to tell a story from what I understand. So anyway.
Or walk on hot coals or something.
Well, okay. All right. Well, there has to be some ground rules, though, too. We'll come up with some of those between now and then, because walking on hot coals, I don't know. I see the potential for blisters, and, I don't know about that. So, but we'll come up. All right. I like this. I like this idea. All right. So we'll come up with some framework around it, and we'll make it so. And it won't mean that that's the only thing that happens, but I like this. No. I like this, that we'll have other episodes in between. Okay.
With guests
and with
puppet shows.
I've got guests already lined up, and we've got and maybe hopefully our own listeners and followers coming on and talking about followers. Wow, our one fan. There you go. Whoever you are, make sure you that one fan out there, click like and follow,
subscribe,
subscribe. We can't afford arrows. So I just point somewhere on there anyway.
Yes. And we'll be shouting out the names of our sponsors and putting in commercials. We have no sponsors, but we
have no sponsors. If you want to sponsor us, you can do that too. Feel free. If you want to send us, money for coffee, we're both big coffee drinkers. That's always helpful too. There you go. But all right. Well, and one of the things then that I want to address in a future episode, we don't have to get to it now, and that is, so if learning styles aren't really the thing, it's what we should talk about, and what I want this podcast to be about is, well, then what does work? What are things that do work for most people? And of course, so the idea is what I think people need to learn to do. And so there's a great book that you've probably heard this, Learning How to Learn. Have you seen this book?
No.
Learning How to Learn. And it's, where do I, hold on. I was going to grab, her.
Well, while you're doing that,
go ahead.
You were telling me earlier that the key to learning is what? Deprivation and pain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean, from our dear friend Aristotle? Okay. Yes. So, all right. I'll give you that. So, okay. Yes. Okay. So from our dear friend Aristotle, of course, he for the thing. So Aristotle's got a bunch of them though. Aristotle's got, let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can remember. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. That's one of the good ones. And what was the other one he had? I know you had it. Now I'm looking through my list of quotes again.
It was totally not biologically correct.
Oh, it was totally not biologically correct.
Yeah.
I have it in here somewhere. I have a list of, now I'm going through again. There you go. But anyway, I still like Life is Trying Things to See If They Work. That's Ray Bradbury. Mm-hmm. And I think, come on. So that's it. So this is what we're looking at here. And for the book, by the way, it's Learning How to Learn, and it's Barbara Oakley. The name finally came to me. So if you look for it, I'll put a link in there.
Yeah,
I'll make sure we have a link in there. Right now I'm going. Oh, for the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. Is that the biologically incorrect one that you think? So that's the other
you said learning with your head and learning with your heart, and it's just that idea that you're you have a brain in your heart or something. It's just,
yeah. Well, And well, hey, there you go. And if you want a more modern one, I wrote this one down a long time ago here because I caught this on. So what, love him or hate him, Mark Cuban actually had a pretty good thing too. He said, life's an open book test, right? So learning how to learn is your most valuable skill in the online world.
That's a good one.
I would even take the online away. I would say just learning how to learn is your most valuable skill in the world.
Yeah.
You know, so we're going to talk about that. Check it out. Look up Barbara Oakley, and I believe it's Oakley EY. Yeah, OAKLEY. It'll be in the. We'll get links on here. And she's very helpful there. And so we'll talk about this. We'll talk about ways to learn and talk about what we can do, to make our lives worthwhile and more interesting. And so some of the things, it doesn't have to be. Tell us. There you go. That's the one question I would like to leave with everybody here.
All right.
Tell us something that you've always wanted to learn. Anything.
I like it.
Anything. All right. We'll have to filter out the adult things or something like that. But
I will take this a step further.
Okay.
Where if you don't know what you want to learn, tell us that and we will tell you what to learn.
Ooh, there you go. I like that.
Yes.
We'll include you in the learning challenges. How's that? And you can definitely do it. I like that. Okay. So, all right. So one of the things then, all right. Well, Mr. Minnick, aka C Money, do you have any other things that they should be looking out for? Since we're just starting, we might as well, recommend some other biggies out there.
Well, I mean, one thing that I've always kind of been really interested in, because I'm, kind of have a weird schedule and whatnot, is trying to figure out ways to learn while I sleep. And so lately I have been while I sleep, I put on this YouTube channel called Boring History for Sleep.
And sounds like a sitcom episode somewhere.
It's great. I don't know. I mean, it's probably AI generated. It's one of those things where, is the writing bad or is it AI?
Yes and yes.
It's this guy with a very pleasant accent who just goes on for about 4 hours talking usually about medieval Europe history.
Okay.
And so what was life like in medieval Europe? And he'll talk about everything. But there's so many episodes. The guy writes a new episode every night, it's amazing.
Okay. Sounds like was it in Ferris Bueller, the teacher, Bueller.
Yeah. It's great.
Is that kind of tone, that nice monotone? Okay. So wait, this might be the antithesis of our whole approach across this podcast, though. Have you retained anything from that?
I really have.
Really? Okay.
Because what happens is he just goes on and on and on for 4 hours, and then a new episode starts. And you drift in and out of sleep through the night, and so I'll wake up and realize I'm having a dream about the Black Plague or something, or how I'm very sick.
That's pleasant. Yeah.
Or how my neighbors are really dirty or something. And I wake up and I'll hear him talking about and then this is what it was like to be a prostitute in, England.
In medieval.
Yeah. And, and I'll just hear some of that and then I'll fall back asleep and then, wake up and it'll be, so right. that's my
very nice to know it's working for you. Okay,
that's great.
I like that. Well, that's not a bad recommendation. It's funny because in the 80s, I remember there was a big popularity of learn while you sleep tapes.
Yep.
That was the thing. You put it in the cassette tape, and there's been and I'm not kidding that it make a great sitcom episode because it's been in probably every I think Friends has a learn while you sleep episode. Everybody's got an episode.
I tried to learn Portuguese that way. It didn't work. But.
No. See, so again, it might be the subject doesn't work with that mode.
Yeah.
So again, learning styles and learning modes. Yep. All right. I'm not going to go through 71 different modes like the one study I was telling you about, but I do think we can, look at, okay, this is a visual way to learn. If you think you're a visual person, great. Here's one way to do it. There you go. But this does now add, you mentioned challenges. This does now give me some fuel for later challenges.
All right. Awesome.
Oh, I have an idea and I don't want to bring
excited.
It up. Oh, I'm excited. Okay.
We should end it with that. Yes,
we should end with that. Okay. And folks, I promise we will be interesting and responsive, and let us know. What do you want to learn? Or what have you, or if you don't know, we'll give you something good to learn. We'll find
Absolutely.
Those.
And stay tuned for our next episode coming soon to a podcasting place near you. Peas and carrots.
Peas and carrots.
Peas and carrots. Peas. Yeah.
A podcasting place near you. I love it. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. That was pretty good. That was,